And then when I discovered by the way of evidence and thinking and science, actual science, that we live in an intelligently designed system, that brought me to God and made me realize there's a creator.
Hey friends, Sean from SGT Report here. Did you hear the one about the rat in space? It's funny. I think you're going to enjoy it. Before we begin this interview with my friend Dave Weiss, just a quick word from this interview's sponsor. You guys know how important it is to keep your body healthy at all times these days. Well, collagen may be the closest thing we'll ever get to a real fountain of youth. 75 to 90% of your skin, bones, joints, and tendons are made of this age-defying nutrient. And the older you are, the more you need it. Many health experts now agree that consuming collagen is as crucial as it gets to renew and revitalizing how you look and feel. After age 20, people produce about 12% less collagen in their skin each decade. For some, it's even a greater decline. That means by the time you're middle-aged, you could be producing less than half the collagen you did when you were young. So visit the site healthwithsgt.com and secure your supply of the best collagen on the market and get the benefits of collagen. Click below this interview to get it from my trusted source. And welcome back, friends. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Guys, stuff's so nuts right now on planet Earth that we're going to depart Earth for this conversation and talk about space and SpaceX and so much more with my friend David Weiss. You guys may know his YouTube channel, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and the podcast, I believe, of the same name. Is that correct, Dave? Welcome back.
Thank you. The podcast is called The Flat Earth Podcast, and my YouTube is just the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH.
All right, I screwed it up. All right, well, you're a flat earther. Let's just put that out there right now. And you and I have talked before, along with our buddy Crow, and I think it was one of the more fascinating conversations I've ever had. Now, the nature of this conversation isn't going to be about the nature or the shape of the Earth itself, but rather about things like gravity, and things like the firmament, and things like SpaceX launched 2 men into space on May 30th. 2 astronauts, Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken. They rode aboard rocket Falcon 9 inside a capsule called Dragon. And something in the footage of that launch struck me as one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life, and we're going to get to that in this conversation. But where would you like to begin, my friend?
Sean, they were coming to visit me up here on the space station, as you can see, and I've done this with zero budget, not $65 million a day, every day, and this is what we get of astronauts on the space station. There was so many things wrong with that launch and every launch. We could spend hours and hours. So where would you like to start? You want to start with the engine issue?
Well, we can start there, but I want to ask, how did you pull off these special effects? I know about blue screen and green screen, but it does actually look like you're floating a bit there. Do you just have excellent conditioning of your thighs?
I'm on a yoga ball. And I'm rolling back and forth.
That's funny.
And this is better than some of the stuff that they show us. So it's so pathetic. And, we're going to be talking about SpaceX. I call it Fake X. And everything they show us is CGI.
Why don't I do this? In the interest of having a third party kind of give us a perspective on what we're up against, I want to do this. I hadn't planned on starting with this soundbite, but I do rather like it. Now, this channel, a buddy of mine, an internet buddy of mine pointed out, is the Theoria Apophasis channel, and I'm going to just play this quick soundbite. The name of this video is On Gravity, Absurdities versus Logic in Natural Law.
I've said over the years in countless videos that modern science hasn't got a clue in hell what the hell gravity is. Not a clue in hell. And some people thought I was exaggerating or being hyperbolic when I said that, but I was actually being quite literal. I posted a link to an article today, and the subcaption is, we asked, I think it said 6, we asked 6 different quantum physicists the nature of gravity, and we got 6 different answers. Literally, there's no branch of science that knows what gravity is, and that's okay. I've never chided anybody for not knowing stuff. The issue comes in the form of the fact that these same hubristic PhD-endowed fools teach other people poppycock and nonsense. They paint Mother Nature as a crazy streetwalker on crack. They really do. It's nonsensical. It's abstruse and obtuse. It's completely farcical.
Anyway, Dave, I just wanted to start there with a third party whose intellect I respect, because I think what we're up against right now is nothing but propaganda. Endless propaganda funded by NASA and their partner Elon Musk over at SpaceX.
Right. SpaceX, everyone says, well, now it's privatized, so it can't be the government. They just privatized it so we have less access to any information. We can't do a, what's it called when you request information? Freedom of information request from SpaceX. But NASA is SpaceX. There's no difference. Their launches are the same. When you watch a rocket launch, within 5, maybe 8 seconds of the launch, they've already cut it 5 times, like a Hollywood film. You see it close up and then a back up, and they never show you each camera view in full. They always just, it's splice, 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 splice. And that's because they're completely fake. On those launches, you'll notice, remember, here's one everybody remembers, the Challenger when it went up. When the Challenger went up, it left a solid smoke trail from the base all the way up until the thing exploded. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah. And then sometimes when they take off, there'll be a trail. Sometimes there's no trail except the ridiculous amount of smoke and steam at the base of the rocket. That's because they're using all different kinds of trickery. Sometimes they launch a mini rocket. Sometimes they launch nothing. So we had globe deniers. I don't want to say flat earthers because we're better described as globe deniers. We are flat earthers, but some people, don't know what it is, and I could agree with that. But we had a bunch of them up and down the coast off of Florida trying to see what they can capture with their P900s. Not only didn't they see anything, they didn't hear anything. So, you can barely see a 747 at cruising altitude, and you could hear it. All right. The rockets taking off from Florida they're magnitudes of time, magnitudes louder than an airplane. And the people that we had didn't see anything. You'll see just what SpaceX does is you'll see just a few amateur videos, and it's always the same formula. There's a rocket way in the distance. You hear a couple kids, they flash back to the crowd. It's the same thing, and it looks like an amateur video. It has to be real. They may be filming something, but that's not what we're shown on TV. When you watch these videos, it's not the same thing. So I believe on that launch where we sent the guys up to the station, I don't believe they launched anything.
All right, well, let me do this. Let's just back up here because I teased at the beginning something, the craziest thing I've just about ever seen. Although these days, it's hard to even characterize it that way because we're told this guy launched a Tesla into space, which is the craziest thing I'd heard at that point. So let me do another screen share, and let's just talk about a couple of things, and then we'll show that footage I was talking about.
Sure.
All right, this is the mainstream media singing Elon's praises.
And SpaceX was, of course, founded by Elon Musk, who also founded Tesla, and once sent an astronaut mannequin in a Tesla into orbit around the sun. For this mission, astronauts Hurley and Benkin will sport new state-of-the-art spacesuits and arrive in, what else? A Tesla.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there. If that doesn't sound like propaganda in a commercial for Tesla, I don't know what does. I want people to understand those astro suits, which are not airtight, were designed by a Hollywood costume designer named Jose Fernandez. Okay, you're watching theater here, friends, in my opinion.
Former astronaut Mike Massimino will be part of the Discovery Channel's coverage of the launch. How trusting are you right now of SpaceX and its technology and expertise to get this job done?
All right, well, they got the job done, but here's the problem, Dave. This is actual footage, friends. I saw the actual full-length footage of this on YouTube, including this time code, which has now been removed from YouTube. This happened around the 5-minute mark in the space mission. Look for the mouse, or the rat. I'll pause it there. There was also a mouse. That was the larger rodent, the rat. By the way, Dave, did you know that in the Chinese Zodiac calendar, it is the year of the rat, 2020?
Correct. So, you said to me before the show that you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on with this. So the rat happened twice. You're aware of that. It happened about 5 months ago, and then it happened again. So
no, I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, it happened twice. Yeah, and the one 5 months ago looked even more like a rat. But here's the thing: those of us that have investigated the space programs know without a doubt that they're faking everything, and that this thing is not in space. So the belief that some of us have is that, hey, a mouse climbed up into this thing that they had in front of their green screen and ruined their shot. But what people don't realize is when they're showing us these live launches, that's pre-recorded. It's not that they're doing it live and, oh my God, a mouse is in the scene. They're allowing this to happen. They're putting this in there to have people inside the NASA fakery truth community argue with each other. That was a mouse. No, it wasn't a mouse. And we're going back and forth, and that negative energy is what they feed off of. People are deceived by these space programs. Then they have people that are aware that they're fake, but we're arguing against each other. And that's a win for the elite. They have us arguing, it's a mouse, it's not a mouse. They have us distracted.
But let me ask you something. I haven't been distracted or argued about that with anybody. I just think it's absolutely fascinating, and I believe that they did leave it in there on purpose. It's put in there on purpose for those with eyes to see and ears to hear.
Exactly.
Most people aren't going to see it. Most people aren't going to follow that story, and they'll just listen to the mainstream propaganda about the successful space launch where they got the 2 astronauts up into the International Space Station. Here's the thing. If we can all agree that that's real footage, and it is real footage from SpaceX, from the official channel, and that is a rodent of some sort, and they're telling us that that rocket at that point was traveling at 8,000 miles per hour, it's obviously physically impossible for a rodent or any life form to cling to the side of that rocket. So,
right.
So the whole thing is what? Fake? I mean, you really believe the whole thing is fake?
People also ignore the garbage bag or the tin foil that's above that rocket. That thing is going supposedly 17,000 miles per hour before it even leaves the atmosphere. What is holding that plastic or that tin foil together? It would be shredded. I mean, the whole thing, right above the engine. You see that, and you can tell that it is a thin substance. It's not aerodynamic. That would be ripped to shreds. What is it? What material is that? And NASA will never answer. They'll never, they say it's foil, but it makes no sense. You mentioned the Tesla here's the thing. When you talk to somebody about these launches that are really proud of it, they didn't watch it. They just say, oh yeah, it was great. And they saw a clip on the news, which is just little pieces, but they never really watch the whole thing and critically think about it. Think about the Tesla. Elon sent his Tesla Roadster in space, which is behind me, okay? And this is the shot we have. What does this shot do? This trains the unthinking mind, oh, the Earth is a ball. But look at this perfect shot. Where are the logos? How come in the Tesla showrooms, there's not this poster on the wall saying Tesla, good enough to fly to Mars? How come it's not on the front page of National Geographic, Time Magazine, Newsweek? This is nowhere. They're hiding this because this is embarrassing. I mean, this is impossible to happen. And that shot is absolutely ridiculous. Another thing I want to show you, if you can go, maybe I can share it. Hold on, let me try to share, is when the ship was landing. Can you see this video?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you see this? So so there's the tinfoil I'm talking about. How what is that? And then watch here, back here, the curve of the Earth. See the curve of the Earth? That's telling us it's a ball. And then another angle. Well, gee, the curve just changed. Is that because it's looking the other way and it's not a round ball? It's a more of a pear or whatever. That's just showing you that they're using deceptive angles. But here comes the rat again. There's the rat. Sure looks like a rat. there's no way that happened. The video I want to show you is actually a different video. So this ship, actually, this is the wrong video, but we'll go with this. These are some launches by SpaceX. This is a test launch. Does this look real to you? There's always dust clouds, and think about the thrust that would need. It's not pushing any of that smoke around, right? The amount of thrust, supposedly the empty canister when it comes down is 40,000 pounds, 20 tons empty. And it comes down without an effort. And look at this. You see the shadow on the shadow going up? That shadow is not in line with the water tower. Okay. And also, shadows don't work like that. You don't get a defined shadow. The higher that goes up, the more that shadow will just spread out. You with me?
Yeah, I am. We get into the weeds on this stuff because we don't want people to dismiss the rat on the rocket, which clearly proves that there's something going on here that is completely untrue. And then we get into this stuff, and I agree with you. There's some weird things going on with these launches and then these landings, these reverse landings. But to say the whole thing is fake, I think makes people think that we're nuts.
It certainly does. But the thing is, once you look into it, like this right here is SpaceX footage of a 40,000 pound cylinder coming down, landing on a raft, which is pitching and rolling.
Right.
Okay. Those are some big seas there. I sailed across the Atlantic, and those are some big seas out there. You would have a hard time standing on this raft without holding on to something. This thing, which is, I forget how tall it is. It's super tall. Like you can walk underneath those legs. But look at that little amount of fire, that little amount of thrust is stopping this thing. It's going upright. And what is positioning it left and right? There's got to be 20, 30 mile an hour winds out there. What is making it land right on the raft? Ever since they did this one, they now never show you this view again. They always show you from a view from the ship, and it cuts out at the last second.
Yep, and then they go back to it's successfully there.
And there it is.
You're right. Here's the thing about this that I've always thought was suspect. Why? Because I agree with you. Pitching and rolling seas with a platform that this thing is supposed to hit the bullseye of every single time and land perfectly, why not do it on land? See, that's to me what is absolutely preposterous, is that they would do this in heavy seas. That makes zero sense.
And here's another one for you. So watch it. This is the rocket coming down. There's the curve of the Earth. Okay. So it's got to be way up there. So there's the curve of the Earth, and it's coming down. Within 12 seconds, it's on the raft. Within 12 seconds from that height. So we've sent balloons up to 120,000 feet. And the Earth looks flat. But let's just say it's up at 120,000 feet, like this shot right here. Earth, that's 120,000 feet, Earth is flat. But let's say that was at 120,000 feet. Then if you say, we'll even say it's 20 seconds until it got to the ground. Okay? So if it's 20 seconds to get to the ground, that's 6,000 feet per second. Let's round that down to a mile, okay? Which is 5,280 or whatever it is. It's less than 6,000. So that's 3,600 miles per hour. That 20 tons is falling out of the sky. And that little bit of fire that we saw is going to land it perfectly on a raft that is rolling and heaving. That's all you need to know that SpaceX is fake. That's all you need to know. If they're faking that, they're faking everything.
Yeah, the math doesn't add up. I agree with you. And we all have some real world experiences we can draw from to know that what you're saying is correct and what we just saw isn't possible. One of those experiences might be watching that live space jump of, what was his name? Felix Baumgartner?
Right.
Yeah, and he free fell for what, 7 minutes?
He was up there for 3.5 hours, I think, before he free fell, and he landed, 30, 50 miles away. The Earth, the Earth is spinning at the speeds they say. He should have been thousands of miles away, but he landed in Arizona. And if you look at the picture, that's a picture that they show of the curved Earth. If you look at it, it's all land. It's all Arizona. Okay, so it's, you know, planet Arizona if you look at that picture. But if you look at the picture when the door opens before he goes outside, that did not have a fisheye lens, and that horizon line lines up with the same shot that we saw when it was on the ground at the same height. And that proves right there that the Earth that we live on is a motionless plane, does not move.
Can you put back up that Tesla Earth picture that you like?
Yeah.
Put that the astronaut in the Tesla, the dummy in the Tesla.
This one?
Okay, yeah. Here's my question.
Spaceman.
The ISS, International Space Station, is, do you know what altitude that thing's at?
250 miles, supposedly.
Okay. Now, they've never been able to show us, with live HD video, our Earth looking like this from the space station. Correct. So what are they claiming the height was, the altitude was of this Tesla in space? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but if you watch the whole video of it, the curve of the Earth keeps changing. Every time they change the angle, it changes. So am I saying that they're using a fisheye lens for this and they're just showing this? No, I'm saying that this is a computer image backdrop, just like I have behind me. Right. This you know, Elon said that besides it looks so fake, that's how you can tell it's real. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake was his exact quote at that press conference. There was glitches in the Earth. There, you can see the car. You can see the Earth through the wheel well.
Well, there was a glitch too, a live glitch, maybe a frame or two, maybe even a few more than that, of what appeared to be well, not a set, but imagine a Hollywood special effects apparatus in which the car was placed and then filmed. You know, if you remember in The Matrix and some of these other movies where they came up with that 3D technology where suddenly the actor's frozen in space-time and the camera rotates around the actor while a fight scene is happening. Right. It was that type of setup, and I don't know if you have that video, but it's fascinating. But my point on that picture is that there is no wide-angle lens or fisheye lens that would allow the car to the math doesn't add up. They're too close to the planet, and the camera's too close to the car to result in that particular photo, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the fact that it was spinning around the way it was and just got such a perfect shot, it's impossible. Anybody with that critically looks at this stuff. The problem is, Sean, is people are good people. We trust. We're not, in general, people are trusting, caring, and they can't believe that there's such evil in the world that would perpetrate a hoax this big. They just can't believe it. Therefore, they won't believe it.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to find that Tesla car in space footage to see if I can show people that glitch. I wish you had it. Other people will say this is a spacewalk that they had, and that looks, how do you do that? Well, I could do that, but actually I did do that. This is them practicing their spacewalks in the National Buoyancy Lab. This is where NASA does their training. They have a full mock-up of the ISS inside a swimming pool. And that's why we see bubbles in space. I'm sure you've looked into that, where whenever they're doing spacewalks, we see bubbles escaping from their suit. Sometimes they go to the left or to the right or down. That's because they're filming in different orientations because they're underwater. That clip I played earlier from Theoria about Tesla versus Einstein, it's interesting how so many of us are willing to go there and think about these things and ask these questions, but pretty much none of us land on the exact same page. Maybe you and Crow are the closest, in terms of two friends that are pretty much on the exact same page. And you correct me if I'm wrong there, but even in that interesting video on that Theoria channel, he says that he believes that the ISS is real because you can see it at night. So it is a real space station. It exists. But he's got other issues with cosmology. He thinks that their math doesn't add up in many ways, which has been my argument. I'm a globe, as we're told, skeptic, not a flat earther.
That's completely fine. And, if you believe the Earth is flat just because of what I'm telling you, you're not doing the research. Belief, as Crow says, belief is the enemy of knowing. I can tell you something, you can believe it, and you're done. You got your whole day free. Go take a nap, drink a beer, watch a movie. It doesn't matter. But if you want to find the truth, it takes time, effort, critical thought, and most people aren't willing to do that. Just real quick on the ISS. The ISS is slightly larger than a 747. Okay, a 747. If you ever walked underneath one, you know, if you go on one, you can, they're big, but when you stand underneath one, they're gigantic. And then you move a 747 to cruising altitude, which is about 5 miles high, it becomes the size of a pencil eraser held at arm's length, and you can barely see it because of the amount of air in between you and it. It's kind of very muted, gray, and it's tiny. Okay, now if you doubled the height, any logical mind will know that you couldn't see it. Its angular size would get too small, and it would be that much farther away, so the amount of light getting to your eye would be even less. Okay, the ISS is 50 times higher than that, 50 times higher, and we think that we can see it. There's ISS trackers, so I've seen the ISS go from horizon to horizon. It's brighter than any star or planet in the sky, or whatever you want to call those things, and it goes from horizon to horizon. What is the ISS? I can tell you what it's not. It's not a tin can of the size of a 747 falling around a spinning ball, which is, you know, going in 4 different directions at once. You know, that we're the crazy ones saying that the Earth is flat. And this is what you believe. The Earth is spinning faster than the speed of sound. It's orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles per hour, and it's chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour, while everything else is expanding at 2.2 million miles an hour in another direction. And we see the same stars every year after year, century after century. It's nonsense. It's just, we've been indoctrinated. I don't know if anyone has, I don't have cable television, I have Apple TV, and the screensavers are always things like this. This is a screensaver that's in, what program are we using? Whatever program this is, that I can't get rid of. This is a background that comes with the program that's lodged in there. It's one that you can't delete. This is what they put in there. So they're constantly programming. And anyone that thinks this is a real photo has lost their mind. It's just because you want to believe.
Right. Right. Well, we have that testimony or the interview from the graphic designer, the graphic artist at NASA, that says these are compilations that have to be put together. There are thousands of images that have to be assembled to show us anything close to what you're talking about, anything close to what you're showing behind you there, and that's not an official NASA photograph.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, these photos that they show us on Time Magazine or National Geographic and everywhere, they don't even say they're real. They don't lie. They never use the words photograph. They always say image or picture, because those aren't photographs. So they don't like to lie, but you know, we do have a picture of Pluto, right? This is a picture of Pluto that a Voyager took flying by, and it happens to have the shape of Pluto the dog on it from Disney. And you know that Pluto the planet and Pluto the dog were discovered the same year, or were created the same year?
Is that right?
That is a fact.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they're playing the name game with us. They're putting it in our faces. They're deceiving us. And Sean, the reason I am so intent on teaching people of the globe lie is because that's how we got into this situation in the first place. The world situation that we're in, where people are walking around with face masks on, thinking that a voodoo virus is going to come in and kill them as they're walking down the street. You know, if they're any closer than 5.9 feet from somebody, they're going to get sick. If you can convince somebody that they're insignificant, that they're living on a speck in the middle of nothingness, expanding when after nothing exploded and created everything, and they're lost in space and there's trillions of other worlds out there, you can convince them of anything. If you don't know where you are, who you are, or what you are, you're lost in space.
That's exactly what I've arrived at. It's what I believe to be true, too. They want to, it's spiritual warfare. We've talked about this many times. And it's funny you mentioned that tin foil, or that magic foil on the side of the SpaceX rocket engine there. They used the same magic material on the Lunar Lander to put men on the moon back in 1969, 70, and 71?
Right.
And by the way, the technology was so advanced that they were able to bring a dune buggy, which is to me always the smoking gun of that official nonsense.
And if you look at the chassis of the dune buggy, it was an Army Jeep. Forget how many millions of dollars it cost, but it was an Army Jeep, and you know, it was all filmed on Earth. We're looking at the the LEM here. And if you, just Google, it's still easy to find. Just find the Lunar Lander high res and zoom in on it. It's literally made of tinfoil, duct tape, scotch tape, plastic, cardboard. There's no way. I mean, you have to be able to get in this thing and go underwater if it would be able to go in space. And there's no way. You look at this thing, it looks like the Three Stooges made it, or the Little Rascals.
Well, and I've seen it, right? I've seen, I guess what they say is one of these things at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., and it's much smaller than you'd ever think possible. And so to me, again, the math doesn't add up. How would they fit 2 astronauts in that vehicle in full gear with helmets, oxygen, all of it, and a dune buggy? Somehow they magically had the dune buggy, and I've seen the diagram from NASA where this dune buggy was supposed to, like, it folded up into the lunar. It's insane. The math doesn't add up.
Right, none of it does. And if you really look into the plans, where the dune buggy was there's supposed to be a tank. I forget, it was fuel or whatever it was. It makes absolutely no sense. But you have to take the time and effort to look into it. Here's another thing. Here's the Dragon docking with the space station. Now, this is CGI. I don't even think people that believe that it happened don't think this is CGI. But whether it's a real picture or not, if you got fully grown men in there moving around, you're free floating in space. You're coming in for a precision docking. There's no tractor beam or anything, sci-fi like that. You know what happens if you're on a boat and you walk to one side of the boat, or if you jump off the boat, that boat goes flying in the other direction, and that has the resistance of water. There's no resistance in space. If you push off a wall or move around, this thing is going to tumble and turn. There's no gyros on it, or maybe there are, but it makes no sense. And on the space station also, when these guys are moving around and pushing off walls, that should be sending this thing spiraling through space, but it's not. Here's the thing, Sean. Finding the truth, like if you Google, fake moon missions or, fake X or whatever you want to do, flat Earth, this is a sign that they're hiding something. Google is only going to serve you propaganda. They're going to serve you, if you search, flat Earth proof, it's going to serve you the National Geographic show where they came to one of our flat Earth experiments where we were doing a test across mirror flash across the Salton Sea in California. And what they did is they did their own test. They had a Zodiac and they had a big board that had red and white stripes on it. And they were filming from just a foot or two above the water. And the boat was going out farther and farther. And there was one point where the bottom 2 lines were kind of disappearing. And they're like, oh, that's because it's going over the Earth curvature. This is what the Google will serve you. But anyone with a thinking mind will look at that picture and you can see there's water way beyond the boat. So if that thing is hiding part of the flag, how can you see water behind the boat? And the reason the flag was hidden, the bottom of the stripes were hidden, was because there was waves. And there's also an optical effect. The lower you are, the lower, the smaller the angle, the resolution, the angle of attack that your eyes are seeing. So things at the bottom will disappear from the bottom up. And we've done experiments, again, where we can show how things disappear from the bottom up, even without adding factors of the atmosphere in here.
When I had you and Crow on, you said something that resonated with me. I have not forgotten it. Our modern day optics have outgrown their lies, I think was your quote. Yeah. And I think that's interesting because this topic to me is a dangerous topic in that it's kind of a turd in the punch bowl. So, for instance...
It used to be.
Well, and people are really waking up and asking more and more questions. But when I say that, I just mean that when we talk about false flag events like maybe what happened on 9/11 and take a look at Building 7, and we talk about maybe vaccines aren't the safest thing, take a look at the ingredients, and Bill Gates wants to usher out his mandatory vaccine. Those are all really quantifiable topics and yet dangerous. This one is somehow less quantifiable except for those optics that you told us about. Some of those videos really do leave you scratching your head because their math for the globe model is fixed. The circumference of the Earth, the diameter of the Earth, that's a fixed model. That's their math. It's not your math or my math. And one of the things that really left me scratching my head is when you or somebody else pointed out the Suez Canal. The length of the Suez Canal is something like 121 miles or so, 124 miles or whatever it is. And you can watch the time lapse of the ships going through that canal in like 3 or 4 minutes. And it's as flat as a pancake.
Right.
And they never engineered for a curve when building the Suez Canal. When digging.
Bridges, tunnels, canals, they never factor in curvature. And curvature, well, the Earth is too big to see the curvature. Well, that's nonsense, because they tell us the Earth is 24,901 miles around at the equator. There is a formula for that, for at least a couple thousand miles, to tell you what the curvature is. And we can see too far. We have there's a shot called the Black Swan, where we have we're filming from just a foot off the ground, and the horizon at a foot off the ground should be less than 2 miles away with that geometry. But there's 2 oil platforms that we have the known distances. It's not like we're guessing how far they are. We know the distances. One of them was like 9 miles and one of them is 12 miles. We can see water beyond the 12-mile one. No curvature, no globe.
Now, as it pertains to that Suez Canal, just so people to whom this information's new, and I suppose a lot of skeptics have already stopped watching, but to anybody still paying attention here, if the Suez Canal is, say, 120 miles long, how much curvature should there be? How much curvature should they have engineered for in something that is that distance?
I think it's over a mile of curvature. It's like 6,000 feet at 100 miles, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's pretty close to that. It makes absolutely no sense. And people think that they've seen curvature. You don't see curvature. When you look out a plane window, 1, you're looking through a curved window. 2, you see in a circle. You can only see a certain distance in all directions. That makes a circle. That's a flat circle, Sean. There's answers to all of the questions that people have, all of the objections. I was telling you, the biggest one is, well, we see boats go over the horizon. We did an experiment where we took a brick, and we were at a Home Depot or a Lowe's, and we put the iPhone camera as close to the floor as we can get it. And we put a brick in front of it. It filled the whole lens. Then they slid the brick away, way, way, way down this perfectly smooth, flat cement floor. And at one point, you couldn't see the brick anymore. Its angular size got too small. You lift the camera up and you can see the brick again. You put it down, the brick is gone. Now we stack 3 more bricks on top of that brick. And guess what? When the camera's down, we can see brick 2, 3, and 4, but the bottom one is missing. Things disappear from the bottom up. Now add atmospheric conditions into it, and the problem even gets worse. So again, it's easy just to believe ships go over the horizon because Bill Nye, the science guy, told you that. But in reality, that's not what happens. Many times ships disappear. People believe they went over the horizon, and then our advanced optics, our P900, our P1000 Nikon cameras zoom in, and there's the entire ship again. But there will be a time where you can't zoom it back in. And you can't zoom the sun back in because that's a terrestrial object, and it sets for a different set of reasons. We have tons of videos on that. Can I share my solution for getting around Google censorship?
Oh, yeah, please do. And also, when I had you and Crow on, I don't know how long ago that was, maybe a year ago, I did prep a lot for that show. And remember, I did find a NASA document that describes a flat, non-rotating Earth, and it was about air travel, airplanes. It was an entire NASA document, a 30-some page document about a flat, non-rotating Earth. Right.
There's tons of videos about that, where there's tons of documents, CIA documents, aviation documents, where they say they treat the Earth as a flat, non-rotating plane. So
now, before you show us the Google fix or the Google end around about censorship, I just want to say, I mentioned spiritual warfare, but it shouldn't be lost on people because people listening that have been indoctrinated since birth about this cosmology, and that's everybody listening, are asking, why would they do this? Why would they lie? Why would they lie? Why would they go to the expense of lying? What's in it for them? And I think the answer is to separate us from God and the idea of a creator. Because if what you're saying is true about the nature of this earth, that means that the biblical version of what we live on is true, and it was created by a loving God, and it is not a speck. We're not a speck of dust hurtling through an endless universe. We're far, far more important and far, far more rare. In fact, this may be the only place that has ever existed where human life can exist because it was created by God, and they don't want you to know that. It just reminds me of the interview I did with James Perloff, most watched interview I ever did, Dave. It was called "The Elite Don't Want You to Know God is Real."
Absolutely. Sean, before I discovered that the earth is not a spinning globe, I didn't believe in God. I believed in heliocentrism and evolution and the Big Bang and all of it. And when I discovered by the way of evidence and thinking and science, actual science, that we live in an intelligently designed system, that brought me to God and made me realize there's a creator. And now whatever you want to name that creator or take it from there, that's up to you. So, my podcast partner, Matt, he comes from the Bible side. He leads with the Bible because all this flat earth stuff is in the Bible. I always use the science first, and then I go, and it's in the Bible. So as I was saying before, if you search flat earth, you're going to get fed propaganda. Nat Geo, you're going to get Vsauce with his stupid flat earth and gravity. You can't put gravity, you can't put the flat earth into the heliocentric model. When you mix those models together, it doesn't work. So I created an app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, which you're seeing on your screen right now. And basically, wherever you see the sun, it's 12 noon. So we're recording right now. It's almost 3:30 on the East Coast, and it's almost noon on the West Coast. That's where the sun is. The moon right now is a new moon, so that's why you can barely see it behind the hour hand there. And as the sun laps the moon every 28 days, you'll see the different phases of the moon. You can also see that today is a special day where it's the summer solstice, and the sun is over the Tropic of Tropic of Cancer, which is that inner yellow line. And then 6 months from now, the sun will migrate past the equator right here out to the Tropic of Cancer. And it'll be the outer southern land summer, and it'll be our inner northern land winter, because the sun is farther away from us. And that way, because it's farther away and it's a small local sun, it'll rise and set by itself. So in the app, there's, I have a compass feature, which will show you really how a compass works. I have other flat earth related sites, but I have right here is the 21 questions. These are the top 21 questions that you click, and so if I click why the lie, which you just asked, it brings you to a playlist of why the lie. Here are a whole bunch of videos that'll teach you why the lie. And this is the most important lie to the elite. Because if you wake up to the flat earth like I did, you will no longer give away your power. You will realize that we are at the center of creation. We are God's creation. We have power. Nobody can take away our power. That we have free will, and they can't take that away. They can scare you into it. They can tell you to wear a face mask and you do it. That's up to you. They can tell you to take a vaccination. They can tell you the vaccination is mandatory and make it very difficult for you not to take it. But that's up to you. Nothing is mandatory, so they can't take it away. One thing I do is every single day, I add a featured video of the day, which is, it just shows up on your app right here. You get a little notification telling you what it's about. You click the video, and up comes the video again with another playlist if you want to watch more videos. These are videos that you will not find on YouTube easily. I mean, you'll search for the exact name of a video and with the channel name, and it won't come up, or it will come up many pages later with a bunch of propaganda in front of it. You can, if you look at weather patterns, so these are wind patterns, which are on here. And this is what the wind actually looks like on a flat earth. They show us these wind patterns that go up and down, these trade winds, but this is the current wind right now. And in the red here in the pink and red, these are 200 to 300 mile an hour trade winds that airplanes can use. So if you want to go from Santiago to Australia, you got a 300 mile an hour tailwind if you stay over here. And a plane that can go a little faster than a regular plane, these trips are very possible, very doable.
Hey, in your playlist, do you have anything from Flat Earth Brothers? I like that channel.
Oh, absolutely. So I also have, if you go to the web page, we have biblical flat Earth. So on the bottom there, I have a biblical flat Earth list, and I believe some of the Flat Earth Brothers ones are in here. I also have I feature their stuff quite often because they put up some great stuff. I featured one just the other day. There's a wealth of information in here, and if you don't know how to use the app, the top center right here is an instructional video that Jaron from Jaronism channel and I did together. So here are debunking videos where these professional, I believe, paid for shills try to debunk stuff. Here's a link to Owen's stuff. These are flat Earth friendly shows. Veritas Radio, I think Mel. Mm-hmm. Mel has done probably 6 or 10 shows on on this topic, which is a tough topic. It's getting a lot easier, and I applaud you for having me on because you get a lot of flack, but not as much as before.
Hey,
right?
you have Marty Leeds on here too, and Marty's done a couple of videos that have really woken me up and led me to go further down this particular rabbit hole.
Right, yeah. Marty, one of his is Flat Earth, the Ultimate Litmus Task. Great video. Again, it's if you go to the Flat Earth Clock app, it's in there under the documentaries page.
See, that's good because you're right. Everything's been scrubbed from YouTube. It's really getting difficult to find some of this stuff on YouTube using their search engine.
Yep, sorry about that. So there's also I have a weather app on there. There's tons of stuff in here. Hey, one thing I want to tell people if you want to get this, the app costs $2.99. If anybody wants to pay me for the development costs, I'll make the app free. But let me tell you, it's a large number, 5-figure number, and this is the only way that I make money. As a matter of fact, my truth seeking has caused me to have to leave my company that I started 6 years ago. I am doing this full time. So if you want to support me, buy this app. It's $2.99.
Well, wait a minute. Tell us about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, where can they buy the app?
So the app is in the Apple App Store or the Google Play. I believe if you just put in Flat Earth or Flat Earth Clock or FE Clock, the full name is the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, but it's the first hit if you type in Flat Earth Clock. On Google Play, there's a knockoff that a bunch of Globers try to do, but it's a horrible, horrible app, and it's free. But mine's $2.99. But one thing I'm going to tell your listeners, when you download the app and you pay your $2.99 and you open the app, you get a pop-up that says, support this app for 99 cents a month, and you can subscribe. What that gets you is absolutely nothing than no pop-up. The pop-up doesn't have a timer on it. You can exit out immediately. And if you want, you can go into settings, and then you scroll down to the very bottom, and there's this right here. And if you turn that switch on, it'll snooze the app for 30 days at a time. So you don't see the pop-up for 30 days at a time. Don't subscribe unless you wake up every day going, I love this app and I want to support Dave with 99 cents a month. All right? It's the lowest amount I could put on there. And the reason I put it on there is Google. I wanted to put a donation button in, but Google and Apple won't allow donations. So the smallest amount I could make a subscription was 99 cents. So
okay.
There you
go.
All right.
I wanted to ask what happened to you and your company after 6 years because, this is a theme. It's an ongoing theme. It happened to me in my Target career. It happened to author Donald Jeffries. It happened to Owen Benjamin, who's been blacklisted off every damn platform out there. It's happening to Gab. Did you just read that the other day?
Yep.
Gab is being silenced by Visa. They can't process credit cards anymore because Visa says they're responsible for hate speech or whatever in the hell it is. It's just absolute nonsense. So what happened to you?
So what happened is I have a couple partners and we had a great company. And let me tell you, I was making a comfortable living and having a lot of free time and life is good. And I love my job, but I was stifling myself a lot. but not enough where my partners were not liking what I was doing. And you know what? I'll even say rightly so, because they're worried. The truth isn't for everybody. For all the normies out there, when I'm talking about that event that happened in Connecticut or that event that happened in New York or Boston, people that are asleep will get offended, and they felt that it was causing a problem. So we agreed upon a separation, and I am doing this full time now because Sean, I cannot stand around another year and watch the world fall apart like it has been. It has been, what's going on in the world right now. I cannot ignore it or stifle myself for another year. So I'm doing this full time, and anyone that wants to support me, I appreciate it. And that's it.
All right. Well, I appreciate your voice, and I know what we're up against. It's just crazy. I mean, after 10 years of being a YouTube partner, I was demonetized just a few weeks ago out of the blue, and they say the reason is that my content is harmful to viewers. To which I ask, which viewers? Because the viewers that come to my channel overwhelmingly give us likes, 97, 98% likes on every video we put up. Now, that may not be the case on this one, because this is a dicey topic. Where we started, though, with SpaceX, I think is absolutely spot on. And if you guys want to support Dave, do get the app. It is a fantastic, beautiful, functional app with lots of great information, too. And if you want to see Dave in space, well, there he is. He's on the ISS right now.
And there's if you go into the app, there's a NASA fakery space playlist, which these are videos that won't show up when you do a Google search. But you watch these videos, you'll see that the astronauts have green screen glitches, wires getting tangled with each other when they're trying to flip around. They're using virtual augmented reality, where they're pulling things out of the ether. You've seen it where the stuffed animal, Paxi, they beamed it in, and then the astronauts playing with it.
Yeah.
So they're putting this stuff out there right in our faces. All you have to do is take the time and look.
Yeah, I've seen the one, too, where they go to grab something that's not there. So whatever effect was supposed to happen for the viewer didn't happen, so they're handling an object that isn't there.
The hat, when he passed the hat. He missed the hat. It was where they was passing it from one astronaut to the other. He was going to put it away, but he went and he took it and he missed it and he put nothing away. And then in the background, you see another guy hanging from a harness, but they didn't green screen the harness out, and you can see the harness. There's so many mistakes. Are they all on purpose? I don't know, but they're there. There's astronauts fading out before they go around a corner. It's endless, but all you have to do is take the time to look.
All right. Well, I won't rant here at the end. I was just going to mention that it does seem interesting that so many of these people that know the truth are billionaires. And when I say they know the truth, I'm thinking of Bill Gates, who knows the truth about the C virus but wants to usher out a mandatory vaccine anyway. He knows the truth about that billionaires meeting they had back in New York City years ago with Warren Buffett and George Soros and Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey. And the topic of that meeting, I think, was about depopulation, or at least overpopulation of the world. And now Elon Musk, I believe, just cashed out $700 million. So if you're part of this cabal, you do get the payday. But do you pay with your soul? I guess that's the question at the end of the day, Dave.
The question is, on the vaccine, I believe you're in the same boat as me, where there's nothing anybody could do to make me take that vaccine. I'm not telling other people not to take it. It's up to you. Do your own research. But, the vaccine, I say, at worst, may kill a large number of people. At best, it may sterilize everyone that takes it. Either way, they got their depopulation down. And there's also some thought that perhaps it'll take lower your ability to spiritually connect to source. Maybe the vaccine is gonna, further calcify your pineal gland.
Well, I have heard that the one that they would really like to approve and mandate is an RNA vaccine, which would be the first of its kind in human history. Never proven safe. These RNA vaccines, never ever proven safe. So,
is that the one that changes your DNA?
That's what we're told. So we'll keep our eye on that story.
We will be a GMO. We will be a GMO, a genetically modified organism.
Yeah,
they are transhumanism.
Transhuman. That's what I was going to say. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they do defile creation and they defile God and they laugh at Jesus Christ. And maybe that's why they don't want you to know God is real. And maybe that's why they could be lying to us about the cosmology they're teaching our kids and that we've all been taught. Right. Guys, our guest has been David Weiss, DITRH on YouTube. And what again is the name of the podcast?
Very simple. The Flat Earth Podcast. It's on SoundCloud, iTunes. Check it out. Start listening. And, we haven't done a lot of episodes since the Corona thing started, but, we're getting back to them. But there's plenty of content to listen to. So check it out. And the app will show you lots of channels that you can subscribe to and get more information. And I'll tell you one thing. Since 6 years ago when I discovered the Flat Earth, there hasn't been a second of my life that I haven't been thrilled to be alive or bored, because there's so much to learn and it's all amazing and life just gets better and better.
All right. Well, I do love your energy. You've got a good life force, Dave, and you're a good guy. So thanks for joining us today, and happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to anybody listening. We're having this conversation on Sunday. I hope to post this Sunday night here, but if not, it'll post Monday the 22nd of June, 2020, in the year of our Lord. And our guest has been David Weiss. Thank you, David.
Thanks.
And friends, thanks so much for tuning in. You know how much we appreciate you. A shout out to our patrons who are literally keeping us in the fight for truth and real news, even with topics as dangerous and controversial as this one. If it weren't for you guys, well, I hate to think. And for real news, visit us directly at sgtreport.com. God bless. Bye-bye.
I don't raise my right hand and say I'm going to write speeding tickets and put bad guys in jail. That's all part of a sheriff's job maybe, but quite frankly, defending and upholding the Constitution is the oath. That is the oath.